a reality TV star and now you're running a multi-million pound fashion brand. How did we go from one extreme to the other?
I started the brand £5,000. Started with one t-shirt, just myself and my business partner, no staff.
Ross Worswick, founder and creative director of the Couture Club, entrepreneur, and influencer in streetwear, joins us to pull back the curtain on bold, boundary-pushing fashion. From design studios to global collaborations, he shares the mindset that turned a London label into a worldwide phenomenon.
And I think that's the moment that the entrepreneurship kicked in. Got some really bad news, guys. You thought you made 600 grand, but you're actually minus 250. And for me, like, one of the biggest sacrifices that's come over the last few years, especially with my friends. Then once the TV show had aired, launched the brand, and we started off, I think the first night was like £500 in sales, which I still think to this day, to launch a brand from nothing, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, definitely is, yeah.
If I'm truthful, my life was pretty good anyway with doing what I was doing with the party scene, and the only difference from filming the show was there was just cameras involved.
What does it take to be in your position?
I think probably a lot of dedication, hard work, probably not really listening to the noise, the outside noise from other people kind of saying it's not possible, just another reality TV star trying to start a brand.
Ross, welcome to the channel. I want to start off like this. You were once a reality TV star and now you're running a multi-million pound fashion brand. How did we go from one extreme to the other? But more importantly, before we get there, I want to know, what does it actually take to be a CEO? What does it take to be in your position?
I think probably a lot of dedication, hard work, probably not really listening to the noise, the outside noise from other people kind of saying it's not possible, just another reality TV star trying to start a brand. It's 10 years now. So we've since I started the business, it's 10 years, and it's taken a lot of hard work, dedication, having the right people in the team, giving certain things up, to focus on what really matters, and that was growing the business and the brand.
We haven't even mentioned what brand it is for the people who might be even watching thinking, what brand is it? Couture Club.
Yeah, the Couture Club. So yeah, 10 years.
Big brand, man. Big brand.
Thank you.
I know 10 years, you mentioned to me, you got a documentary that's going to be coming out. Why is it that 10 years is a big monumental moment? Because I'm trying to look at it like this. Do you actually look at it like, wow, 10 years? Or is it just another day?
Do you know what? One of the problems probably is, and something not many people talk about, is you don't really notice it. You're kind of so absorbed in making sure that you're doing the best thing you possibly can. It was only when the team and everyone in the business was kind of like, we need to celebrate this moment and kind of look back on the 10-year journey and understand it. And it's made me for the first time stop and actually, when we've been talking through it, probably understand all the things that we've done over the years and how great some of the times were. Obviously some of the tough times, there's been a lot of tough times in the journey. And I think, yeah, to me it was very much a normal day. But then now that we're doing the doc and I'm looking back at all the stuff that we have done, it's probably made me realise, like, wow, yeah, we have had a bit of a mad journey.
That's it. For the people who are watching this right now, why is it that they should stay tuned and listen to you?
I'll give you a little bit of an insight into the brand. So I started the brand with £5,000. Started with one t-shirt, just myself and my business partner, no staff. Worked hard at that. We ended up giving away equity in the business. And
what, quite early on?
Quite early on, year 2, to an agency that then got bought by JD, which meant that we had to do the deal with JD. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden we'd grown a business at this point to around £6 million, and we were doing a new deal with JD Sports. Then going on from there, buying the business back and being the sole owners of the business again, rebranded the whole brand, and now selling globally, stocked in Selfridges, and business is performing better than it ever has done before.
So I'm just going to come back to one thing you said there. You started with £5,000 and all you produced was one t-shirt.
Yeah.
What did that £5,000 go on?
It went a lot on obviously setting the website up, stock for that first t-shirt, and that was pretty much it.
How many did you get?
I can't remember exactly the amounts because we split it over 3 colours, so it was white, black, khaki, and long line tee, totally different style to what it is now, like scoop hem. Viscous elastine blend, like really drapey and cool. And it was just that one tee with at the time it was just a Couture Club, a little label on the bottom left hand corner, very minimal. And we just relied on a lot of friends and our own marketing to kind of promote it. So we didn't save any marketing money at the time, and we didn't know anything about digital ads back then. Influencers weren't really a thing. It was just, purely getting our friends and everyone to help promote it.
Well, let's come to it, because you were in some regards an influencer.
Yeah.
You'd come off a reality TV program and then launch the brand. So before we go even more into the brand, let's talk about Ross as a child. Let's go all the way back. So talk to me about the early days, what you can remember. And most important question I want to ask you is, do you think you were born an entrepreneur?
I think my journey kind of scoped me into knowing I needed to become one. So I raced go-karts professionally from the age of 8 up until 15. Then moved into single seaters, raced in Formula Renault, which is the equivalent of Formula 3 now.
I think that's the sickest thing ever.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for it. I had probably the best childhood anyone could ever have, travelling around the world racing. Like, it was amazing.
Whereabouts would you travel around the world for that?
Spain, we'd race in Italy, we'd race in Belgium, France, mainly the UK, but obviously if you're doing any of the European races, it'd just be around Europe.
And what is it, on a weekly basis or?
So in go-karts especially, we'd be racing weekly, like every single weekend, or at least we'd be testing if we weren't. So I was probably at school like 4 days a week, the odd week 5, but was out of school a lot. And that was a combination in go-karts. You've got like 2 different types of British Championships. Then you'd want to practice for them British Championship rounds, so you race at the club rounds in between all of that. So it was, that was my weekends every weekend, so there was kind of no distractions. It was just like, went to school like a normal kid, and then at the weekends I was racing, and that was my focus. But then when we moved to cars, obviously the schedule was a little bit different. You have like official testing and then the season. But when we ran out of money, because I'd raised my whole life, and probably as a kid you don't understand money. I just thought I'd be in Formula 1, like we all did. We all thought the same thing. I won the British Kart Grand Prix, came third in the British Championships. It was like there was scope for that, was where it was going to go. And I think realising that my kind of dream got cut short because of money then transformed my mind into like, never really want that to be an issue again. And I think that's the moment that the entrepreneurship kicked in, and that became a thing. Before that point, if I'm honest with you, I probably don't think I had. I just thought that's what I was going to do. So I didn't really think anything about business. But after that point, I knew that I wanted to be successful. I knew that I wanted to build, a business that made a difference and lots of people were aware of. And that was probably the moment that changed me, because I lost what I'd done from the age of 8 till, I think I ended racing when I was 19 around about.
So it's late teenage years, basically.
Yeah, so that was all I knew.
Yeah.
So when that stopped, it was like, all right, what do I do now?
That's quite unfortunate as well, because your dream getting cut short at that age really puts you in the hole, because now you actually have an understanding of the world at that age. People always ask you around that age, what do you want to do when you're older? What do you want to do? And you're kind of living close to that dream. In your teenage years, when you're racing. At 19, it gets shut down. I can imagine that definitely has some sort of effect on you. Yeah,
and I think you're right, because at the point before that, when I was in sixth form, I was going to go to uni and study fashion. And I think I got into 2 different universities, and it was like fashion buying, and then there was some other ones. I didn't really know much about it at the time. And but because of my schedule with racing, I couldn't go to uni. There was no point in me going to uni, because I would have just been away all the time. So it was almost like I'd missed that opportunity, because I was focused on what I was actually meant to be doing at the time, which was racing. So it was kind of unfortunate in a way, but at the same time, I've never really been one that's kind of followed the traditional path of what you should do in life. I kind of just made my own way.
Yeah, just do your thing.
Yeah.
So then when you stopped racing, what happened from there?
So I actually went to Marbella at the time, and it was initially to look for sponsors, because I was introduced to a few people that sponsored different people and tended to have a place in Marbella. And at the time, I knew there's a lot of wealth there, and people almost spending a lot of wealth. So it wasn't like
Port Benue.
Yeah, it was around there back in the day. And turns out not successful in getting sponsorship, but successful in the fact that I was good at getting people to go to clubs and fit that lifestyle. So before I even came back, they were like, why don't you stay here and work for us and do some parties? So I started off, doing, I wouldn't even really say PRing, because the venues that we're looking after were the best venues anyway, so didn't really need it. It was more just like looking after the girls with a free table in the best place and booking tables for guys as well. So it was just easy for me. I kind of fell naturally into that, and it was so different from what I was used to with racing that I just enjoyed every minute of it.
That's a very interesting narrative because racing, single seater, you're always on your own. In that journey, you are 100% on your own. To a point where you're essentially a club promoter, should we say?
Yeah.
Where you've kind of forced to got to be an extrovert because you've got to constantly bring people in, take bookings, do this, that, and the other, constantly communicate with everyone around you to make sure that night is packed.
Yeah, there's a lot more with racing. There's a lot more than people think. You know, we look through all the data with the team. You'd have all the mechanics. You were still heavily involved with a lot of people. But I know where you're coming from. Yeah, it was totally different lifestyle. But again, I think I must have always been outgoing, like from being super young. Like I just like chatting to people, and I liked having a good time. And it was, do you know what? It probably was like. Probably making up for all the years of missing going out with my friends every weekend because I was away racing.
Yeah.
And they were all out having fun, going to parties, doing all that, and I had to be dedicated to what I was doing. So it's probably a case of just making up for lost time and making money while I was doing it. And I think that was what was most appealing to me was I was having a good time and I was making a living out of it. Granted, it wasn't, phenomenal. Can't say I was super successful as in financially, but I had a great life.
So that first party in Marbella, they told you to bring people, or you wanted to bring people? What was the actual situation there?
Which I just knew loads of people that were out there anyway. So like I'd always be inviting people, booking tables, and again, like I said, because it was the best venues that we were looking after, and they changed each year as well, depending on where the hotspots were. We became the team that ran different venues, and it was more just booking tables, and like we'd all go to the party and joining the party after. So anyone that you'd spoke to that was coming down, they'd go there, and we'd just get a good, well looked after. It was perfect.
All I'm thinking right now is racing driver, club promoter. Where does brand come into this? How did we get to brand?
Well, that was what I wanted to do when I was at uni. Well, when I was meant to go to uni.
You mentioned you wanted to study fashion, so I'm assuming you're always interested in it.
And again, I think fashion falls into nightlife a lot. Like, a lot of these parties, like I say, they are quite pretentious. It is what you look like, what you dress like, how cool you are. There's a lot of that involved in the nightlife scene. So clothing for me was always something, and fashion was something that I was interested in, always, even from like an early teenager. So it was kind of a dream that I wanted to do, but probably didn't have the confidence to actually start it.
You don't have the confidence to start the thing?
To start clothing. And then once I'd been on TV and I noticed that, I'd filmed the show, but the show hadn't aired yet. I knew that I was going to get a platform. And that was the moment that I spoke to my business partner, Scott, who had a lot more experience in business. He'd had a few other businesses before. Said, I want to do a brand. I filmed this show. It's going to air next year. I need to do something. That was my sole purpose behind going on TV and kind of getting a platform. Is there's no point unless I was going to make a business from it. So did all the groundwork. I was probably developing it for quite a bit of time in the background. And then once the TV show had aired, launched the brand, and we started off. I think the first night was like £500 in sales, which I still think to this day, to launch a brand from nothing, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, definitely is, yeah.
And again, it was one T-shirt in 3 colours, so it's not like we had the biggest collection in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm still proud of what it was like when we launched it. And then it was a task then of how do we get people to come to the website every single day? And we just get creative. And because we were naturally night promoters, the hustle of getting people to do something was part of what we were used to. So it was like, right, let's message everyone we know to retweet this tweet, let's share this on Instagram, let's do a new shoot. Like, I just had time on my hands, so it was like creating content every day. And
do you know what I find very interesting, right? The fact that you went on this show, and I suppose some form of dating show, where you went in there with the intention of, okay, we're going to build the platform and then we're going to launch a brand. That's interesting because you see a lot of influencers now. I mean, we're in 2025, for God's sake. Yeah, there's so many dating shows. Love Island, I can't even name the rest of them, but Love Island, the main one. And I'm not saying anything about the cast in particular, but in the past there have been influencers who come off the show. They have all this relevancy for 3 to 6 months, and then after that it's nothing, and then they go broke. There's not much more to fall back on. So the fact that you thought about this in advance, I think, shows true testament to your mindset.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think for me, you put yourself out there on a show, and there's no point doing that and then people invading your privacy if you're not going to benefit from it in some way yourself. So it was all a calculated decision for me. Like, if I'm truthful, my life was pretty good anyway with doing what I was doing with the party scene and all that they were doing. The only difference from filming the show was there was just cameras involved.
Yeah.
So I was like, it took me a while to say, yeah, like all summer they were pestering me. And I was like, do I want it? Do I not? And then I just thought, yeah, do you know what? Let's go for it because what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Gonna get more people gonna know I am.
What was it actually like going on TV?
Mate, I loved it.
What was the program?
It was called X on the Beach. And to be fair, it was probably the first of like the dating shows, a little bit more extreme than what Love Island is now. And the first series I did was their first series, so they didn't even know what it was going to be yet. So it was one of them where it might not have even ever made it to air. And I don't think they had the name for it when we actually filmed it, because one of the cast mentioned the name, and I saw a producer almost write it down. I thought, all right, yeah, that's what the name's going to be now, X on the Beach. But yeah, it was just fun, mate. I was young, and you're in your early 20s, and it was like sun, villa, guys and girls partying, having a good time. Like, I just felt like I was on holiday.
I don't know if you can get into it, but for a TV show like that, do you get paid or is it just they provide everything for you?
Yeah, the first time round, I completely forgot what it's like. You do get paid, you get covered, and you made sure that like any expenses you'd have back home, whether it's your flat, apartment, house, whatever it was, get sorted. Again, some people might not get that. It depends what you negotiate with them, I suppose, because then the second time I went back, I negotiated something completely different because I thought the business side of it as well. I thought I'll get a bit more. I was a bit more savvy to understanding how deals work.
So the second time you went on, you had the business then?
Yeah, and I was sat with my business partner. I was like, "Listen, they're on me again. Shall we do it?" And he because he knew that it did help us a lot initially, and I can't take anything away from that. Like a lot of people don't like that they've been on TV, and it's not one of the proudest moments that I was on, a reality show like that. But at the same time, I've got to respect what it gave me, and we knew it worked. So my business partner was like, "Get the next flight, mate. Do it."
Where was it, in Spain?
It was the second time was in Crete. First time was in Marbella.
Yeah.
So they made me fly back from Marbella to fly back to Marbella with them. So, but the second time was in Crete, and I had the business. Business was, I think, just over a year old when I filmed it. And while I was there, I think because the business started gaining traction at this time, Scott had ordered like a massive amount of stock. And when I came back and when the show aired again, then we really started moving. And again, it wasn't just me being on TV. Obviously, because I was on the show with other people, knew all them then. They all wanted to promote the brand. And back then, you weren't paying any money for this. It was kind of like people just wanted to be involved.
I mean, especially if you've been with them for X amount of time, then surely you've built that relationship where it's like, Joe, do you mind, promoting this?
Yeah, like they'd be asking me. So it's kind of like, I wouldn't even really have to ask. And again, the events that I would go to, you know everyone on all the other TV shows. So back then, there wasn't a term really influencer. There was only people on TV. And no one was really getting paid for it back then. It was almost like buzzing to get some free clothes. So there was no, like everyone made money from PAs then, club appearances, like not, it's a different world now, like it is all like brand deals and stuff like that. Back then it was so new, and we probably gained a lot of traction from not just me, but everyone around me being on TV and them all wanting to wear the brand and then naturally just organically wearing it.
On TV, can you wear whatever you want in that show?
No, so not big branding.
Oh, okay.
But because at the time, again, everything was still so minimal with what we were producing, I could wear all that. But yeah, as for big branding, I think some shows are slightly different.
Because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking if you could wear your own brand on the show,
it'd be massive.
That would be like the winning formula.
Like I did have it on, but again, it was so minimal that like
people wouldn't
have seen big branding across it.
Yeah. Fairs. But we're talking early days. I mean, what year was that?
That was the second year, or going into the third year when.
So what, 2016? So back then, that's still relatively early in terms of social presence as well, because Instagram, stuff like that came out maybe 2012 to 2013. So we're only 3 years into that as well. So aside from that, what other early challenges would you say you had setting up a company, setting up the brand?
At the start, it was, although it was challenging, it was the best, mate. Every day was sick. Like me and Scott would just go to work. We'd do every job in the business, pick, pack, Facebook ads, shoot, do every there was nothing that we didn't do. We'd do customer services ourselves. Like we both like reply to every single one.
Yeah.
It was just like the most fun time. Challenges though were at the start, because we started with £5,000, that was all we had. So we got the first lot of t-shirts and we were paying for everything up front. So one of the big challenges was we'd sell through them t-shirts, but we couldn't afford to order the next amount because we'd have to pay for it fully up front until we'd like sold through half of them. So we were out of stock more than we were in stock the first year. Again, we didn't understand ads, or I don't even think ads were that big back then. So we weren't really bothering with them. I think I tried to set a Facebook ad up on like when we first started. I think I just boosted it. I don't think I actually did anything. We didn't have budget to do cool marketing activations. We didn't have money to do, like high quality shoots. I was the model. We just did everything we could. So there was a lot of challenges. Again, from a warehouse picking and packing perspective, you'd have to print the invoice out. You'd have to go around the warehouse, find
everything
the product.
yourself.
You then put it in. You then have to print out the label. So at the very start, we used to have to go to the post office. Then I remember quite quickly, someone came to collect it from us, and that was like a massive achievement. Then we'd have a few sacks piled up and we were like killing it. Cash flow, again, I couldn't actually CAD at the time. So like I'd do a sketch and then I found someone on LinkedIn to almost tech pack it up for me properly to then send it to someone to create patterns and design the product. So everything was a long process. So I'd probably say the biggest challenges were like being so unskilled, and every single day was like learning. But it was just very manual. There was no automation and no knowledge from myself or Scott really on what we were doing.
That's what I was going to say, because with a brand like that, to get to the scale where you're at right now, you've got to have a lot of knowledge. But when you started, there wasn't much there. I mean, you had to learn everything all by yourself. And where was you doing all this, by the way? Was it in a bedroom, garage, or...?
No, so I was lucky. It was a bit more glamorous than that. So Scott, my business partner, he had, I don't know if you remember Selfie Sticks.
Yeah,
So we had a business, him, Umar Kamani, our other friend Tom Curl, Scott Thomas, they were selling selfie sticks, and they were in like Selfridges, Harrods, Harvinix, like just in all the top clothes shops. They basically would have brought them in from China and then became like the brand that you had to get. So like almost like the only official brand. So they had still a small warehouse, but where they were doing all the wholesale orders from, small warehouse with a little office in. And I just literally went in there. I didn't even have a space in the office, but I just had like a little desk in the warehouse with just the stock around me, and just ran it from there.
I want to ask, what is your relationship with Scott? Like, were you friends before business?
Friends before. So where we originally met was, he had probably one of the most successful nightclub events in Manchester. I was doing parties in Marbella, and then I was coming back to Manchester for winter and was going to do my own thing. And from their side, they were like, why don't we team up? So I ended up working with them on their night for the Thursday night, and then I was doing another event on a Saturday night.
What's this, for the club?
Yeah, for the club.
Yeah.
Well, they had a night at the club, if you get me. So it was like Thursday night was their night at Visa. Yeah. And then I was doing another event on a Saturday with another promoter at another club. So just teamed up, and we had a great relationship through then. Scott was always the business guy, and myself and Scott Thomas were more the party guys. So we'd kind of host the party as such and kind of make sure it was lively, get everyone down there. So we had a great relationship before that. And our skill sets are so opposite that I think that's why even to this day, like, never had an argument in a relationship. And I think it's because we just both know where we play. Like, he's everything from the business side of things. I look after product and brand. Everything else is under Scott's remit. And we both have the same goals, same aspirations, but never clash on anything. Yeah. So it's good. It's probably one of the very rare cases and very fortunate cases that, I have a business with my best friend and we do it together, and I'm so lucky because, when times are tough, you've got someone there to talk to. When times are good, you've got someone there to celebrate with. Like, it's perfect. When
you say times are tough, I'm sure you've had tough times in the 10 years. I know it's early in the podcast to talk about this, but I do want to know, as you just said it, what were the tough times?
Oh, there was a time when the brand was growing rapidly. I think 2000...
Paint the picture. Yeah, I was going to say, what year?
2018, I'm going to say. Could be 18, could be 17. Doing massive shoots, renting a massive villa in LA, doing shoots, taking models there, influencers there, everyone, like, big budgets. But like sales were going through the roof, so everything was good. We had someone part-time doing all the accounts. He was like a part-time financial controller. So we've been going through the whole year. Like, we've been to LA. I think I've done IB. We've done probably about 5 or 6 huge campaigns throughout the year. And that was what we were doing. It was just like, we were kind of living a bit through the business at the time. And it was like, I think it's cool to go and do a massive shoot in LA. Let's do that. And all our friends were the models as well. So we're just having a laugh, like young lads are when you're having a brand.
So it's like partial business, partial holiday.
Yeah, but we do all the work while we're there, but we just enjoy it, every minute of it. And the business was getting to a size and we were growing. Revenue was looking great. So we were like, oh, brilliant. But this part-time advisor that we had in was saying like, yeah, making 10% profit a month, everything's good. We were like, happy days, let's keep doing it. And we got an actual financial controller in the business full-time. She looked through the accounts and she was like, I've got some really bad news, guys. You thought you were we hadn't finished the year at this point. You thought you made 600 grand, but you're actually minus 250. And we were like, what? Luckily, she came in when she did, because I was just doing the product stuff at that time and trying to do cool things from a marketing perspective. I wasn't really looking at anything, but I was getting told, yeah, you've got this budget, do it. So I was going with it.
Who was telling you that?
He was a part-time financial controller, but his numbers were miles off.
Okay.
And again, this was just not having any experience in the business, like I trusted that, the other side of the business was fine. So I was just sticking to my budgets and doing that. And we were as a team, and at this point, I think we must have been at about 6 million turnover. So we thought we were going to be doing like 600 grand profit, but really we'd be like minus 250. Luckily, when she came in, we still had the last quarter of the year to go, which tends to be the biggest quarter of the year in clothing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We managed to rein it right back in. But if she hadn't come in, at the end of the year, we would have been in big trouble.
Your hands on your head thinking, where's the money?
Yeah,
where is the money?
And again, I think it was all fun and games doing what we're doing, but you've got to understand everything. And a few years after that, even though I still now, my main things are product and brand, I understand every single bit of the financial side of the business. Like, there's nothing that will get past me. Even though I don't need to be in every single meeting, I know it all. So like, that was one occasion that gave me a big learning going forward.
Do you think it's important for a founder to be involved in that? I know you're saying you don't necessarily need to, but do you think...
Yeah.
Why?
I think if you don't have financial literacy, and I think if you don't understand your numbers, you actually don't know your own business. And I think you probably make way better decisions, even in other areas of the business, if you understand the numbers and how much different things impact them. I think going in blind to anything, I just think having more information is better. The more you know, or the more knowledge you've got or information you can gain, you can make a better decision.
Yeah, no, information, as they say, there's that saying, knowledge is power. Literally in any case. And I suppose with your own business, the more knowledge, the better. Yeah.
I think the only thing that was good about that year was if we'd understood exactly what we're doing and what we're spending and said no to some of them things, I don't think we would have grown the brand as quick.
So what was it? Were you just blowing money on these campaigns, or?
Just doing big campaigns, like renting massive villas in the Hollywood Hills and like having 5 models on the men's side and 3 models on the women's side, and then having some influencers there doing behind the scenes, filming vlogs,
and all is getting paid for by the brand
as well. Yeah, and like it was all brand focused, but we were just like doing production probably more. It was all on brand stuff, but just thinking we're too bigger than where we were.
Do you think that's necessary for a brand?
I think it helped us, but I don't think it's necessary, because obviously there's a lot of people that run brands from start to finish super profitably the whole way through, whereas that ended up being, we didn't lose that money in the end, but we didn't make barely any profit.
So I want to understand this then. What is the message of your brand? Because when you put it like that, I know this campaign's probably a different outcome to what you actually do there on the occasion, but I'm just imagining if I was there in the villa, it's going to be a lit time, fun,
at that point,
somewhat party, daytime, LA, hills vibes, that sort of thing, right? So I can't even remember what my original question was, but yeah, what's the brand message?
At that point, we were selling a lifestyle. We wanted to create this lifestyle that when you were buying into the Couture Club, like, you were involved in this and that was the lifestyle that you were living. And it was, do you know what I mean? It was cool and we were having a great time with it. And I think it's important that you do that. I think, you know, having a brand, there's got to be more to it than just clothing. You know, if there's not the lifestyle element of it, there's not the quality element of it, the storytelling behind the scenes, like your hoodie's the same as someone else's hoodie. You've got to buy into something more than just the product. And at that point, we were selling a lifestyle.
I was going to ask you that, to be fair, because I've been fortunate enough where I've done quite a few podcasts with people who are on fashion lines. You know, we're talking about the likes of George Heaton Represent, Manu Davari Sabar, Lewis Morgan, Tommy Mallet, obviously. I'm trying to think of anyone else, to be fair. But everyone's got this message. But at the same time, there's so many brands. So was that your way of standing out by selling lifestyle? Or was there somewhere else that you weigh? Or was it something else that you've done to stand out?
Yeah, at that point, I think the lifestyle element it came naturally to us. It was kind of how I lived my life.
Party life, yeah.
Yeah. So it was my perspective on the world through clothing, but also how we did shoots, how we did all that. I didn't want it to be at the time super refined brand. It was more like selling the lifestyle and enjoying the process of building a brand. Obviously, with time, you evolve and grow and develop, and your taste changes, and what you want the brand to be changing. I think, again, when you look at, there's so many brands out there, and the one thing that's cool about clothing is they're almost like a founder or a creative director or someone's perspective of what a hoodie might be, or their perspective of what they want a relaxed t-shirt to be like. And that's what's cool, because there is a million brands out there, but they all have different handwriting.
Do you think it's easy for someone to create a brand now? Because I know there's so many people, and to be fair, there's probably going to be a lot of people watching this podcast purely because they're thinking, right, I've been wanting to start my own clothing brand. I'm going to listen to Ross. He's going to give me all the advice, and here's how I do it. Do you think in 2025 we could still be doing that?
I think it's easier than ever to create a clothing brand, but I think it's probably harder than ever to break through the noise to make it successful.
Why?
There's that many strong brands out there. Social media's hard. I don't know, you've got TikTok now.
Do you know what I find as well? I think so many brands are so many people are trying to go for the streetwear brand, street brands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities out there. The reason why I say it's easy to start now is you can get actually really good quality blanks. Like there's people that could literally go online now, buy a 300 GSM t-shirt, amazing quality, garment dyed, brilliant product, and you can start with that. Obviously, of course, it's going to be the same as someone else's, but when we started, we had to create patterns, make our own t-shirt, buy the fabric, then get someone to knit the fabric and, you know, make the garment up.
A lot more of a process to it.
It was like so manual back then. There wasn't blanks companies where you could literally just go order, buy, print on, go. Like, so that section, I definitely think is a lot easier now. And there is good quality there. And I suppose you can personalise things. You could hand grind it all yourself. You could create your own message around it. But I do just think to get a brand from 0 followers or 0 database on your website to getting people on there now, unless you've got more marketing money, I think it is harder. I think it's probably challenging. I think when a good brand comes through now, they're coming through at such a higher level now than when we started. Like, if I'm honest with you, when we started, we didn't have it all together. We didn't know where we were going to go. We were just enjoying it and learning on the job. There's brands that start now with like full business plan, probably season 2 already designed, sampled, ready. Like, they know exactly what they're doing, and probably big money behind them as well. So I don't want to put anyone off, but I want to be realistic, you know, to the audience about there is going to be challenges. It's easier to get it off the ground now, but probably harder to get it going.
But you know what? Here's my take on what you just said there, because I'm thinking about this now, and I may be completely wrong, to be fair, but I just feel like, yes, someone can come with a business plan. Yes, someone can come with a ready-made t-shirt, everything, all that sorted, and they can launch just like that. But I just feel like you can't compare that to the graft that you guys would have put back in the day, because you would have had to do all that work. I can go on ChatGPT right now and ask it to make me a clothing brand and where to get all the supplies from, this, that, the other. It's almost borderline lazy. I just feel like, so yes, it may be easier, but that hustle and graft that comes from within can't be replicated.
Agree with you 100%. I think that That there, what you just said there, obviously made me think back to at the start, and it was hustle, it was graft, it was challenging. I think you only appreciate the good moments when you've obviously gone through the hardship of making things work and making it important. And you might be right. It might be lazy now and probably a little bit easy, but I still think, the right brand, the right person behind it, and the right creative direction is possible.
There's a lot of sacrifice that you got to do within business, and maybe this generation ain't ready for the sacrifice. And I'm sure you would have sacrificed stuff as well. So if you were to look back on your journey, what were some things you sacrificed to get your brand here now today?
I think a lot of sacrifice came more when I had my first son, Mason. Before that, if I'm honest with you, I blended life and business in one.
So we're talking 2021.
2021. That's when it's probably changed a little bit, the dynamic. Before that point, I was just business, but I just molded it into my life, so it kind of just worked. Everything was 24/7 all the time, kind of just doing it. And then I probably really had to change how I did everything, because I wanted to be the best father I could be, the best parent I could be, the best. I wasn't a husband at that point, but going to be a husband, and also try and be the best, founder I could be, and in the business. Like, that was one of the points that I found really hard. And I think with both my kids, Mason and Maddox, the same thing happened to me the second time. 6 months after they were born, obviously I was trying so hard to be the best at everything, but I almost felt like I was failing at all of it. And then after like a 6-month period passed, it all started clicking and trying to find the balance. And for me, like, one of the biggest sacrifices that's come over the last few years, especially, is my friends. Like, my focuses are, my family, work, health and fitness, and probably my friends is the thing that I've sacrificed the most, because I have so limited hours in my day, and I want to prioritise the things that are most important to me. And although my friends are, it's almost like they end up being at the bottom of the pile, and something that a whole life I've spent with my friends all the time, but I've got to put family and work first at the moment.
So here's the follow-up question to that. Is the sacrifice worth it?
Yeah, without a doubt. And one thing that I've tried to do this year is make the effort, whether it's for 24 hours or not. Like, a lot of my friends now live around the world, in different places, and it's like, recently flew to the south of France for 24 hours just because I wanted to be there for an occasion, and I wanted to be there for my own memories of one of my friends' birthdays. And it was like, the sacrifice is definitely worth it, because I'm in a position where I could fly there for 24 hours and be part of it. I couldn't fit in the full trip, but I could be there and enjoy it. And for me, like, now it's kind of creating moments where we get together planned and we have a great time, rather than it be like in every single week and, all the time, and just be a bit ad hoc. It's just got to be a little bit more planned and structured.
100%. You mentioned a word earlier on, which I'm going to bring up now. I'm going to come back with another word. You said followers. The word I'm going to say is community.
Yeah.
What's your take on that word, community?
Community, I think it gets thrown around a lot in different ways. From our perspective, obviously, we have community WhatsApp channel, community broadcast channel on Instagram. We do community events, different things like that. But I'd say it depends in which way. I don't class all our followers as community. What I class as community, the people that are really loyal to the brand, love the brand. We do Q&A evenings with a lot of people. We invite everyone in the loyalty scheme, which is called the Clubhouse. And they come and they ask us questions, and we ask them questions just as much the other way. And I think it's invaluable that you almost merge. Like, I want them to feel like an extension of the brand. We wouldn't be where we are today without the feedback that they've given us throughout the years. But I think a lot of people just throw around the term community as another word for followers. For me, they're totally different things.
How do you keep the community culture there when, because this is a struggle that I go through sometimes as well, right? Because I can remember back in the day when I started my podcast, the people who initially first started watching it, in your sense, maybe the first few customers, they are now part of your community and they stay locked in. As you grow more and more and more, it's so hard to control all of that whilst you're trying to grow, because you're focused and your concentration's on the upside. Yes, but you still want to focus on the community. How do you balance the two, the growth and keeping the community there?
It's tough. Like I say, I think we've got different channels for different things as well, and like some of them are smaller and more select. We do a lot of events, and each event is for a different purpose. You know what I mean? Whether when we do our sample sale, that's one of our big events of the year. Thousands of people turn up. The queues are mad, and it's crazy, and like that's obviously a bigger event. But then we'll put out some of our other communities. We had a paddle tournament recently, just as a bit of fun. Like I said, Q&A evenings, and I think it's like giving him the option to be able to come to these. We try to invite our database, our community, our followers, you know, whichever one they are, and the ones that want to come to these really are truly the community, I'd say. But I think it's always important. I think personalisation, we give a lot of them early access to different things, secret discounts, birthday messages, pre-release things, some one-off product that doesn't get released. And I think all them little things is what still engages the people that want to be most engaged with you. I don't think you can fight. I don't think you can force someone to be engaged with your brand.
Yeah, they just come natural to you, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way it can be natural.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Have you ever had a buyout opportunity?
Well, in the early days of the business, we actually gave away 40% of our company to...
Yeah, I wanted to get in that, actually. Why?
Well, it was after the first year, we'd had the full first year, we'd had a good year, and we didn't really know what we were doing still. It was just myself and Scott. I touched on, obviously, the limiting factor was we were out of stock all the time, we were having to pay for everything up front. We didn't have any designers, we were having to like freelance everything at this point. And an agency approached us that was a 360 agency. They did everything from design brands, licensed brands, sell brands, as in like in retail, all sorts of footwear, clothing, everything. They had like full team, fulfillment centre, everything. They approached us to acquire 40% of the business to use their services for 12 months.
Everything, yeah.
And then after that, they charge us a rate for it.
But they keep the 40% after the 12 months as well?
And we didn't, at the time, we didn't really know what our worth was. And then we did the deal. We never actually signed anything. We started working there. I think just to paint a picture, so we'd gone from, I think it ended up our first full year was just under 500k revenue.
That's solid. And it's just the two of you?
Just the two of us,
sick.
And we went in there, and that was at the time when we did that deal. And then we had use of their factory, and this was another big benefit from what they gave us was terms with factories. So it meant that we could, in theory, order the stock that we were ordering before, pay for it after 30 days or 60 days or whatever it was, depending on the terms that we had agreed, but I think it was probably 30 back then. Which all of a sudden we were in a positive position because we were launching things quick. So we'd like order them, we'd shoot them, drop them, sell them out, then we'd have to pay for it. So it was almost like, oh my God, the business has transformed.
Yeah.
And this is the point when Scott ordered loads of stock and I was filming TV the second time. So we've got back, we're in that position. And I think we jumped to like £3 million revenue. So a big jump in that period. Around this time, the company that actually we did the deal with that we never signed, they were going to fold the company. And then JD Sports bought
that company. And
I think the value that they bought it for was in us, even though we hadn't done the deal. And again, we were still a bit like, we were naive at that point. We were like, have we got our company back now? Or like, what happens here? But then when JD bought them, we realised we hadn't. So we had to go for a meet with JD, sign a shareholders agreement, obviously do the deal officially. But at this point, when we were doing the deal, the value of the business was totally different. We'd grown so much in that time. Obviously, some of it to do with the fact that we had terms and we could use their team.
So they wanted to do the deal at the original agreed rate with the other company?
Yeah, well, there was no payment.
Yeah.
So we did a 40% deal to use them services for 12 months and then they on 40%.
Yeah.
So we were now giving away, we weren't now giving away, we were technically already giving it away, but we're actually signing the deal now, giving away 40% of the company when we'd used them services for 12 months already. So we weren't getting them anymore. We had to bring our own team in. and the business was way bigger business, and we already had our team in place now, and we were starting to do our own fulfillment. So all the things that we were benefiting from, we were no longer using, and we were having to give away 40% at that point. So there was always some resentment there, and you know, there was probably a lot of people outside our brand that thought, oh, we got bought out, we got paid for it and everything like that. And it was something that always never sat well with me, that like, you know, everyone thought we'd taken investment, but we hadn't taken any investment. We just gave away 40% of the business, and it was out of naivety and being young and not knowing where we could get to. You know, we thought giving away equity to use all the services was a great deal at the time, but really if we'd probably employed some of them people or just got a bit of advice, we could have skipped giving away any equity and not done that.
I feel like a lot of that comes into limiting beliefs.
100%. We had no experience. We were new, we were young, and like I said, we were learning everything on the job, and these guys have been there and done it. And yeah, they helped us massively, you know, over the years, and there was a lot of benefits from it longer term. But it was something that never kind of sat well with me. And then in 2023, myself and Scott bought the business back. So we did a buyout and bought the business back. So to answer your question, yeah, we did a buyout the other way, and now we own the business 100%.
Which is sick, because then now you ain't got any other outside investments and stuff like that.
No outside investors.
No other holding groups involved or anything like that?
No, nothing. Totally clean. And when we did that in 2023, it gave me, I had the passion back. I've rebranded the brand, started creating the brand, almost felt like a second chance from scratch again of what I wanted the brand to be. And that was really the turning point for us. And I think when we, you know, sat with the team, I'd totally changed the creative vision of what everyone was going down, how we were going to do our shoots. Just totally went through everything in the business and ripped it apart and started again. Yeah. And that was the turning point for us. And ever since that day, there's not been a day when it's like everyone in the business loves exactly what we're doing. We're all aligned, and the product and everything that we are doing, from marketing, from, you know, how we present ourselves, everything's the best it's ever been. So big turning point.
There's a couple of questions to unpack from that right there.
Of course.
But I want to go back to the very first stage of all of that process. Why didn't you sign the original deal?
They never actually asked us to sign a deal.
Oh, so it wasn't something like you were hesitating and thinking about?
No, we never actually signed a deal. Like, it was blasé. Like, we'd done a deal with 40%. We were working from an office in there, from a desk in their office, and it kind of never really got brought up. We were just working from there, and like I'd used to the designers, so I could sit with the designers and talk through my sketches, be like, this is what I want it to be like. They'd create a tech pack. So things were moving faster, like it was so much better. They had an agent and some factories, so they could put us in touch with better factories. There's huge amounts of benefits, but then obviously we used all that, grew, brought in our own team, and then JD bought them, and we actually had to sign a deal. So it was almost like, I'm not using any of that anymore, and now I'm giving it away, because officially I hadn't given it away at that point.
Did you ever want to be in a retail store like JD or Fort Salem? And the reason why I asked before you answer the question is because I'm just going to give you my painted picture, right? Because you'd once upon a time see this I'm talking about when I was younger, see brands like Armani or Boss, and these are like luxury brands back then. But then you'd walk into JD and you'd see Armani Exchange or Hugo Boss, and now that luxury feel is no longer there. So
no, to answer your question, we never wanted to be in there, and we had opportunities. And to be honest with you, big amounts of when we were in business with JD, there was offers of like what the order book would look like that would have been transformational money for me and Scott, but we didn't want to do it because we wanted longevity for the brand, and we knew it was never where we wanted to be. It was never the play that we wanted to do, and it's like, yes, we would have made a lot of money, probably would have scaled, and then it probably would have come crashing down, like most brands that, you know, get that ridiculous growth from going in them big stores. But it was never what I wanted, it was never what Scott wanted. So yeah, we've been offered it and we turned it down because we just knew it wasn't right for what we wanted. We've always wanted this brand to have longevity and be able to hopefully still be cool when our kids are old enough to wear it. Like, that would be the dream. Yeah. Whether I'm involved or not, but I'd still hope that the brand is still around and is cool when when the boys are old enough.
So why did you rebrand after it came out, JD?
Because we'd grown so much, and when we were working with JD, there was a lot of emphasis around growing revenue and volume and pushing that number. And it almost got to a point where I didn't really like the product that we were producing. I didn't like the direction it was going in. And I felt like chasing revenue meant that we lost sight of all things that were important, especially to me.
Just a quick question to understand it more. So though they had 40%, obviously you guys had 60, which is obviously more controlling share. Did they still have a big say in what happens in the company?
Not a big say in the day-to-day or anything like that, but from my perspective, we were two young entrepreneurs that hadn't done this before. And everyone, when you're speaking to them, they've done this before on a way bigger scale.
Yeah.
So naturally, we thought they knew better.
I feel like there's a hidden code translation behind what you just said.
It was. You would listen to. I would listen to what they say and be like, they know better than me. Let's do that. Really, and it is valuable information that probably loads of other brands would use, but it might not have been right for our brand.
Yeah.
And that was probably where it led us in that sense. But they weren't involved, and I can't say that they were involved in making some of them decisions, but there was always an emphasis on like direction and how to scale it, and probably meant that what I want to do from a product perspective didn't necessarily fit that direction.
How long were you in there for?
So we never went in any of their stores or...
Oh, did you not?
No,
so
we
all
were
online or
so
something? Or?
They just owned a percentage of the business.
Oh,
so we were
okay.
still completely online. They just owned 40% of the business.
Oh, okay.
So they offered, obviously, for us to go in their stores, which would have made sense.
Yeah.
But it's not what we wanted to do. And that's a bit why the relationship was always obviously challenging, because the real growth would have come from if we went in their stores and they could have scaled it like mad.
Yeah, their 40% would have been, that's what they would have been.
That would have been
for,
huge, yeah. But we knew by doing that would damage the brand.
Okay. So I've painted this different in my head, because I thought you did go into the stores.
No, so we never did, and that was always part of like the challenge, because it was like we could go in their stores, make a hell of a lot of money, and they'd be a super valuable business partner. But because we're not using them for the stores, we're not really using them for much. The one thing that it did really help us with, though, was opening our own retail stores. So we actually 2017, so still early doors, we opened our own shop in the Trafford Centre.
Really?
Yeah, which was massive. Like no one of the size of brand that we were had ever done that before. And originally it was meant to be a 3-month pop-up. We did it instead of doing a billboard campaign. It was meant to be a pop-up. We could sell from it, could meet the customer, create a hub, could get your hair cut there. It was almost like there's DJ on, there's a vibe. And that was what all the staff that worked there were like night promoters, that are all just like cool kids bouncing around, dead friendly and dead chatty. So it was kind of, we created a little hub for people to go to. And that performed that well that we never got rid of it. We kept that store up until 2023.
It's interesting. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm just noticing now, or maybe it's happened for a while, but so many brands are doing pop-up stores. Is it like a thing that, I mean, what does it do for the brand? You tell me.
So it totally depends on, brands will have different reasons for doing it. So when we did that store, originally it was a pop-up store, and this was, 2017, so a long time ago, but we fitted out like a proper store, and then it ended up being a proper store, and we had it for 6 years. So like, we had a hub. What the pop-up stores I've done more recently, we did one in Amsterdam last year, because Amsterdam's a territory, and Netherlands in general, where the brand's growing massively, totally organic, just going well there. So we were starting to see traction. I wanted to get on the ground. I wanted to meet the customer. I wanted to showcase the brand in real life, so that they could go in the store, feel the product, touch the product, tell their mates, get new people from them cities to kind of come and see the brand in its best light, obviously.
Yeah, in its full glory.
Yeah, meet us, because when they're buying online, again, we're a brand from another country. So they're buying they don't know necessarily what the quality is like unless someone's told them. They see the ads, they see people wearing it, they buy into the brand that way. But I can understand for a lot of people that's a bit of a risk. So for us, it was like multi-purpose. I wanted to showcase the brand there. I wanted to meet the most loyal customers there. I wanted to kind of see who were the influencers, the cool kids around there, and just create a really cool event. So like we had DJ on all weekend, people coming down. We had bigger queues when we did the event in Netherlands than we did in London.
Yeah.
Because again, we're a UK brand coming to a city for one weekend only.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. So like there was huge brand exposure from it because they were all putting it on the socials, everyone there. Again, it was on our socials. We could document the whole thing while we were there. People could buy a collection that wasn't released yet while they were there. So it was seeding products, almost giving them some part of exclusivity. There's multiple reasons. Like, a lot of people now, I think, do them to engage with the community, to showcase the branding, in real life rather than online. It's more used because the brands that you see now are probably super successful online, but probably aren't in any retail partners. So that's when it's really valuable for a lot of the brands now. Whereas when we did that back then, it was purely a marketing thing. We were like, if we're going to spend a certain amount of money on doing a billboard campaign, that really hard to gauge the ROI.
What people think of it, yeah.
Why not spend that money on doing a pop-up store that people can buy the clothes, feel the clothes, we can speak to them, we can do events from in there, we can make it a hub where people can come and hang out. It was like a multi-purpose space. And we were doing it in the Trafford Centre in Manchester, which is a shopping centre with massive footfall.
Yeah, been there, yeah.
So like, it was phenomenal. That's why we never got rid of it. But yeah, I think there's a big difference between pop-up stores and what we did.
Have you still got any retail premises?
No, none. We've worked with Selfridges. So we've got, when we launched with Selfridges last year, they offered us the opportunity to kind of do our own concept stores in their stores. So rather than just go normal rails like everyone else there, because we'd already spent a lot of money on doing a design for a new store, and then we lost the store in Trafford Centre, we had all these concepts already done. And we were telling them about that when we had the first few meetings, and they were like, would you be interested in doing it? And for me, like, going into, an amazing store like Selfridges, but up against the best luxury brands in the world, it's like, how do I create our space or make our clothing stand out in there versus everyone else?
Yeah.
So when they gave us the opportunity to invest in, creating a mini concept store, I was like, yes, because, we're now in a store from a brand alignment point of view with the best luxury brands there are, and I can create my own store inside that store. I was like, it's a no-brainer.
You said one thing there, once again, I'm going to catch on to what you said. You said you lost the store. What do you mean you lost the store? So
we'd been in there for 6 years. We had a deal that was a percentage of turnover deal. So actually in the contract we could leave at any point or give 30 days notice, and so could they. But we'd had this store for 6 years, There'd never been any conversations around us losing it or anything. It had all been happy days. We renewed the contract, just keep rolling. And then we were in a meeting in the office, and one day we got an email from someone we never spoke to before, just saying, you've got to be out of your store. New Balance have taken your store on a 10-year lease. You've got 30 days to exit the premises.
How'd that make you feel?
At that point, mate, I was devastated. We'd already ordered all the stock for the biggest quarter of the year, and we'd already redesigned how we were going to redesign the store, spent all this money on designing a whole new store, proper concept, making it like a permanent fixture for like the next 5 years. Like we'd planned all this out, obviously paid for designers, done all that. At this point, not one person, when we were talking to the Trafford Centre about the plans, had said anything about us being kicked out or losing the store or someone else negotiating a new deal.
Yeah.
They never even offered us the deal that
New Balance got.
That New Balance got. We just got that one email, and I just remember I was devastated. Scott got on the phone to the guy, probably the worst time ever to get on the phone. When you're heated, you're upset.
Oh, conversations go left.
Yeah, it was the one time like we probably shouldn't have had the conversation, but we did. But to be honest with you, it was probably one of the best things that's actually ever happened to us. I just didn't know it at the time.
Why? What do you think the lesson is you learnt in that?
one of the lessons was it gave me true focus on building the brand and focusing on just our online business and what the brand was all about, and trying to do everything to drive interaction back to that. And the store was phenomenal, but you have to think about the staff in the store as well, and the stock in the store. There's a whole separate arm to the business, and there's a lot of probably moving parts with that, you know, it had its own targets. Felt like you had to be there a lot, check in on the staff, make sure everything's all right. And I think subconsciously it probably took a lot of energy out of focusing really on just growing the brand.
Do you think having a retail premises could also tarnish your brand? And the reason why I say this is because if you're not there and you don't know what's happening, you could have, I mean, look, at the end of the day, people who work in retail are humans. Humans have their days off, they have their days on. Sometimes someone can be the nicest person ever, or you can get a moody git. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes the customer can feel the end of that. So there could be a case, I'm not saying there ever was, but there could be a case where a customer walks into the store and a staff member was having a bad day, the customer got the brunt of it, and, oh look, it's Couture Club, it's not the customer. Then I'm going to say, oh, your customer service is XYZ. Do you know what I mean?
It's one of the hardest things. So at one point, we'd open stores we had Trafford Centre, Dublin in Ireland, Newcastle, Westfields, London.
Which one?
Stratford.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where was it, Stratford? What year was that?
2019.
I don't ever go to Stratford, so.
Mate, I used to come down every single week, and the amount of times I walked in that store, I watched from the balcony across, and the staff were just talking to each other, not talking to the customer, ignoring a customer. It drove me insane. It used to break me, because this is our baby that we've built from day one, and that retail space is a reflection of the brand and how we want to speak to the customers and how we want to talk to them.
Exactly.
And when you see people abusing that, it's so disheartening. I was devastated watching it sometimes, and it was all the time. And we'd have to replace the staff, but no one cared, and no one ever cared as much as you care.
Yeah, of course. And the thing is, I mean, you got to look at it from two ends of the stick. There's two perspectives of this, because you got one who's the founder who they want all these details to happen, rightfully so. But then you got someone who just wants a job.
Yeah.
He wants to get paid by the hour. Probably someone in their teens who's just looking for work part-time or whatever the case may be. I remember when I used to work in retail, I can't remember which retail store it was because I worked in so many at this point, but they specifically had a job where I think the role was exactly called front of house. So your job was just to stand at the front door and greet every single customer that came in. I remember I had that job once and I hated it. Not that I didn't want to greet anyone, but you just think, all these lot are selling, all these lot are doing something. I'm like, hello, how's your day going? You get fed up of it as a person.
It's tough.
It is tough. But then you understand why the company is doing it as well.
Yeah. It's tough both sides. I think, you know, especially our Manchester one, we felt like we could probably control it a little bit more. And staff were brilliant. Don't get me wrong, there was issues. Like anything, there was always going to be the odd day when someone's had a bad day. They might have said something and we'd have to address it. But it was a lot easier than when I was travelling down to London by myself sometimes, every week, checking in and almost being disheartened every single time I was checking in, like, guys, come on.
What's happening
Like, you've got 10 customers in this shop. You've got your back to them. You're not even greeting them. You're not said hello to them. You're not even spoke to them about the product. Like, I've just witnessed it all. It's not good enough. Like, and I don't miss that.
Do you ever want to go back into it?
Not right now. I don't. It was an amazing feeling having a store and it being successful and having a great team and, you know, them representing it in a good way. But it did have its challenges as well. The main focus for me right now is just kind of staying in my lane and just keep growing the business in the right way.
I'm kind of confused about the retail premises and everything, because my take on it was, after the pandemic, no one in terms of brands wanted to know about retail. Everyone thought, yeah, online's one, retail's shutting down, high street's shutting down, online it is. But now slowly, especially in this year or the last year, I've seen the big brands popping up with retail stores. So whether it be Odd Muse in London, I know she's now got a store in New York as well. MDV's got their stores in London, Regent Street and New York as well. I don't know if it opened or not. I know Gymshark recently opened one in Dubai Mall. And I'm just thinking, everyone's backtracking on what they said. It doesn't make any sense.
I think it's more around brand. And for years, a lot of brands were obviously driving it so much through digital ads, probably weren't investing as much from a brand perspective. And that in real life experience of having a store is obviously massive. The amount of people that walk past can come in, experience the brand in the best possible way. It's good, and obviously that'll equate to organic traffic later on down the line. So I think there's a part of that that's being played. And also, I think if they ran well, they're a great thing to have. Like, I've never thought stores is a bad thing at all. I think it's just got to be ran well, and there's a lot of benefits from it. It used to amaze me having the store in, I'm just going to use Manchester for example. You think everyone knows your brand. You just think, like, in a not a small city, but in a city like that, the amount of people when I was in that store that would come in and be like, oh, this is a cool shop, and never even heard of the brand before.
Yeah.
So you do get passing like footfall that comes through that actually haven't heard of you. So there is all that side of it as well.
I know what you're talking about, because there's someone who I follow by the name of Alex Omozi, and he says something like, you might think you're doing as much marketing as you can and shouting and screaming and getting an attention, but the truth is you're not doing enough, because there's so many people who still don't know who you are. There's that saying, he made that saying of, if you think you're doing enough marketing, you're not. You need to go 5 times harder, basically.
Can't agree with it more. Like, we discuss this internally all the time with the team. It's like, you think everyone knows because it's gone on social, because it's gone on email, because it's gone across all your channels. So many people don't know. There's so much more to do, and that's why I was saying earlier on about starting a brand. It's that breaking through the noise. You've got big data, but we've got big database, got a big following on social media. You've got all these things there, but to get through the noise now and to let everyone know is so hard. I can remember when we first started and you had barely any followers, but they were so engaged and so dialed in on the brand that you could put a story on it, and you'd probably get as many people come through a story back then as you would now.
Yeah.
And we were tiny, just because every single person had come through it. It was like,
yeah.
It was different, but that is one thing, like, thinking everyone knows about something, and then you've got to go 10 times harder to make sure that everyone does actually know about it. And even then, people don't know about it.
Literally. Well, this is a smooth transition into it then. How do you get people to know about it? How do you always increase the market? And how do you always get new people on board to understand what the brand is? What is it that someone could do when they're watching this podcast right now that really gives them that edge when it comes to marketing?
I think there's a lot of consistency involved in, from a product side of things, is putting out good quality product, because word of mouth, I still think, is the best form of advertising. If you get the product right and someone buys it and then they tell their friend how good it is, you can't beat that. Marketing campaigns, whether it could be small social campaigns or it could be big marketing campaigns. Last year we did a very small activation where we froze one of our puffer jackets in an ice cube.
Interesting.
And the reason why we did it was the print came out of the jacket when it got below 6 degrees.
Say that again. The print came out of the jacket
when it got below 6 degrees. So basically it was a puffer jacket.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, and we froze it in a block of ice, and it was almost like we put it in still in the silhouette, in the shape. Like, we obviously had to stuff it all and put it in a block of ice. Small, minimal cost, a little stunt to highlight the print coming out when it gets cold. Obviously, people coming past, like, not picking at the ice, but having a little look. Through social, it kind of just went mad and just grew and grew and grew and grew, and people looking at that. And that probably got more eyes on the brand for that one cheap moment than one of our big campaigns. And it's probably being clever and thinking outside the box of, like, you've still got to do all the normal things, collect the email data, still run your digital ads, target new customers, work on new categories that might bring new customers in, present yourself in a way that might bring new customers in. I think the people that wear the brand is obviously a big part of And we're very fortunate over the last few years that we've had a lot of footballers wearing the brand, and organically, and then putting it up obviously just means natural traffic. But I do think there's a lot of opportunity on TikTok to create viral moments now, and Instagram, YouTube, just using every platform you possibly can and still do more. Yeah,
you have to use every single platform you can. I'm going to actually, have you got a TikTok for the Couture Club?
Yeah, it's one of our weaker channels. We started recently, but...
I'm not going to try and find it here right now, but that's what I wanted to ask though, is, wouldn't you say in today's day and age, the type of content and the type of market and the type of videos that you make has completely shifted from what you usually would post?
Completely different. I think that's probably one of the things that's harder for someone like me that was very social first back in the old days of social media, is the concept form's just completely different now. Hooks, clips, fast paced, and it's how to incorporate that in a way that fits with the brand's identity. That is probably one of the challenging things. But yeah, it's a totally different landscape now. New channels. They weren't even there when we started.
Yeah, literally exactly that. I've mentioned quite a few brands in this podcast, and I don't mean to mention any competition, but the question comes, do you think there is competition when you're at the level?
Yeah, that's everyone's competition. I think that's the best thing about it.
But is it good competition or bad competition?
Yeah, good competition. Like I don't think anything's bad. Like I think if you're the only brand, like,
it's boring.
Well, you can't be the only brand. Like there's always going to be competition. I think the aim is, where we're all at, is going after these luxury brands that they're out there charging thousands of pounds for the same hoodie that you're producing. You know, we work with some factories that produce some of the top luxury brands and same quality, and they're charging 10x what we are. I think the competition is the most healthy thing you can have. I think if you don't have that, then what's the point?
Competition is a healthy thing. I 100% agree. I have competition too, but then sometimes I always look at the competition as in like, you're doing sick and that's inspirational. So what brand, and it don't have to be within the fashion sector either, what brand would you say you look up to and be like, I can't click properly. That's a good inspiration. I like that brand a lot. What brand inspires you? Or maybe even not in brand, who inspires you?
It's a tough question, that.
Don't say something like the producer of X on the Beach.
No. Actually, I'm pausing because I actually want to give you a good answer, you know, that's actually got meaning behind it rather than just thinking of something that comes off the top of my head. Like, I'm always inspired by luxury car brands, you know, but at the same time, I'm just trying to think how that relates in any way.
Why car brands?
Again, I've always been around cars since I was a kid, so for me, like, I'll always look at that. Brands, I think.
But do you know what? As you think on that is an interesting point, because you could say something like Ferrari, because that's that whole, like, we got to be a car guy to understand this conversation for anyone watching right now. But that's like almost pinnacle of supercars, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, it's a supercar, but they've got the feel behind it. They've got the exclusivity factor behind it. When you drive one, you feel like a gentleman. You almost feel like your life's elevated to a different level. And if you put Couture Club at that same level, it's like being the Ferrari of the world.
It's where we want to be. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I think another thing, I'm going to give you another answer here, is Louis Vuitton. And the reason why I'm going to say it is it's inspiring because they stood the test of time. Again, with something that's not so classic. You know, it's very heavily branded and it's still classic. Like, my wife's obsessed with Hermes. That is a classic brand that stood the test of time, but it's very minimal. So there's no reason why it could go out of fashion.
Yeah.
Whereas Louis Vuitton's always managed to evolve itself and develop itself in a way that, although it is very brand heavy, it still redirects itself in a way that still hits the customer and resonates with who it's trying to target.
What happened to the whole thing with Louis Vuitton being produced in China?
I don't know, mate. There's a new one at the moment. Laura Piana's getting done for some sort of
something.
underpaying staff, or I'm not going to say. I don't know the full story, but all these top luxury brands, obviously.
Do you think there's truth to the statements, or do you think it's just people trying to go after them and tarnish them, bring them down?
I don't know. I think one thing I really struggle with at the moment, and I'm so fortunate it's not really happened to us, is the fact that people can go viral by knocking someone else down. And I see it so much with other brands where people make a viral video hammering their quality when they don't know anything about quality themselves, just to go viral. And it's like, I don't know if it's a case of that they want to jump on a story and kind of make it into a story so they go viral on social media or what. I don't know. But there's a lot of that in the industry right now, and people don't understand how damaging it is. Like, again, I'm lucky that I've not really had it, but I've seen it from other brands and how emotional some other owners get from people going out onto TikTok saying the quality of this is rubbish, it's made from plastic, blah, 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 just to create a viral video.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, when you're terrible, up, someone's trying to bring you down. I'm going to come towards the end of the podcast with a different section, but more on you. But before I get to that section, there is a question I want to ask, which is, we are closing up towards the 10-year chapter of Couture Club. Now, as you watch this back in another 10 years, and you look back on the first 10 years of this podcast, what do you want to be saying to yourself in 10 years' time? Where do you imagine yourself to be?
Where I want to be and where I want the brand to be is, I'd absolutely love the brand to be a truly global luxury brand. And I think, yes, we sell globally now, but we're not a true global brand until we've actually penetrated all their markets. And I think that is one of my goals. And I think I'll be super proud if in 10 years' time, that'll make Mason 14, still a bit young, but it'll be close to wanting to wear the brand.
No, you can still wear it. Do you do babies lines or anything like that?
So we do infant and junior, so it's literally like 1 to 8.
Yeah.
And it was more always a mini-me thing. Never really went into junior. Very nervous around the fact that just people, not the right people wearing it, or it almost making the main customer not want to wear it because they see junior wearing it. Yeah. So we keep it to small and cute, and then men's and women's at the top end.
Well, like I said, I want to come towards your life now. I want to ask you, work-life balance, how do you deal with it?
I just do my best. My best is sometimes good enough, sometimes not good enough. I'm up early anyway, try and spend time with the kids before. I always make sure that I drop the kids off at nursery, straight to the office, in the office all day. I'll leave slightly early, get back in time for bath time, which is 7 o'clock. Bath the kids, put them down, have food with my wife, spend a bit of time with her. Usually 9 till 10:30 or 9 till 11 is when I jump back on and kind of finish up anything that I might have missed off in the day before that. But I then try and obviously manage the gym in there as well, but that's something that's either first thing in the morning or literally after I've had some food before I jump back on at night. But yeah, it's not probably, some people might say it's not a healthy balance, but it's how my life is at the moment, and I'm actually enjoying it. I am being a good parent and good father, good husband, and working as hard as I possibly can at work. So
I asked you a question right in the beginning of the podcast, which was, do you think you're born an entrepreneur? I look at the answer nowadays when people are answering that question, whether it's on my podcast or other podcasts. Nowadays, I'm starting to think, bullshit, no one's born an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur has a trait that makes them stand out from anyone else, and that word is discipline. How does discipline form into your life?
I think I am disciplined. I think it's super important. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it as well. And that's another thing that I think is a trait with every entrepreneur. If you ask them to do something, they do it then. They don't wait till tomorrow.
It's something, you do the work that has to be done.
You do what's got to be done. But discipline, I think, is one of the most vital things, because discipline and consistency, I think, if you can make sure that you do everything you're going to do and you consistently do it over a period of time, then you will become successful.
How do you think someone can fall into the habit of discipline? Because I'm sure anyone, for that matter, even maybe yourself, has times where they just think, fuck it, I can't be over doing it.
Do you know what? Like, I do and I don't. But the way that I try and avoid them moments is by like segmenting time to do things I actually enjoy. Do you know what I mean? So like, I will be disciplined all the time and very structured in my life, but I kind of like it that way anyway. But then if I want to go out or go on holiday for 2 days or have a little breather, I will have a little breather. And that doesn't mean that when I get there I don't train or to relax. If I don't want to train, I don't train. But I know that I'm disciplined in meeting the goals that I want to achieve. So I think it depends on what your goals are, what you want to do. But I don't think everything has to be so set times. I think you do them in what works for you, but being disciplined still means just getting them done in the best of your ability.
Yeah. What are the top lessons you've learned throughout your life? Doesn't have to be business related. It can be anything.
Believe in yourself is number one for me. Like my grandma used to always say it to me. She's no longer here now. But like I got it tattooed on my arm, and it's like, believe in yourself and there'll come a day when others have no choice but to believe with you. And it's like always true. I think you should always believe in yourself, number one.
What was this? Would you say the tattoo was? Repeat it again for me, please.
Believe in yourself and there'll come a day when others have no choice but to believe with you.
That combined with the tattoo you said you got on your leg, which was?
Never let fear kill your dream.
So, okay, it seems like your man lives on that, which is sick.
Yeah. But lessons again, I think consistency, persistence, you've got to have resilience. Like, they're key things for me. They're not really lessons. I just say work hard, man. Believe in what you're going to do and make sure you make it happen.
100%. 100% it's got to be done. What else do you think people should know about you or Couture Club?
Oh, interesting.
I asked that because I'm out of questions now.
I was going to say...
Actually, no, I do have a question. But go on, I'll let you think on that one.
No, I was just going to say, obviously it's 10 years now. Super proud moment for us in the business. But yeah, it feels like just the start. Like I feel like the last 2 years of where we've reinvented the brand. And that to me is where the brand started. And now that we're on a whole new journey and just on a mission, like I want to redefine luxury fashion. Do you know what I mean? What it means to people. I think price tag's not everything. I think quality and longevity and caring for the customer and building a community is more important than slapping £1,000 price tag on OD.
Yeah. There is a question that I wanted to ask, which was, it came to what you said before was tattooed on you. And it's also to do with limiting beliefs as well. And that's overcoming doubt. And I'm not necessarily talking about doubt from other people, but doubt within yourself. Because everyone has doubt within themselves, especially when they're first starting out. I mean, you guys gave away a big chunk of a business. A lot of that comes down to limiting beliefs and the doubt. So how did you overcome that?
I think it took me a long time. And a lot of it came from gut feeling, trusting my gut. I'm lucky that I've got Scott as a soundboard, my business partner. If we both felt the same and we believed that what we thought was right, we'd try it. And if it did work, it was almost like consistency level 1, tick. We'd make another decision. Yeah, it worked again, tick. And it was almost like building a confidence up step by step. And it wasn't like an overnight thing. It took me years to kind of, especially when we lost direction, when we rebranded, there was a percentage of the club that I was bringing through that was what I really wanted it to be versus still had to keep consistency with where the brand was. And it was like, as they started selling, being the top sellers in each one, it was like, that's where we need to go. And it kind of, the consistency built up that, yeah, my decision's right, the rebrand's right here, the direction I'm going in is right, the customer's giving me that feedback. And it's almost like looking for them external feedback loops that make you know your decision was right. And I think there's moments that you can always look at that go, yeah, that was the right thing to do.
How old, you said your boys are 4 and 2.
Yeah.
What are their names again?
Mason and Maddox.
Mason and Maddox. Now let's picture this. Let's imagine them 10 to 15 years from now. They stumbled across this podcast with their dad. What's their message to them?
Work hard, boys. No, I think my main message for the boys, mate, I say to them all the time, and again, they can't really say much back. Mason, the eldest, can, but it's like, I just want them to be happy every single day. Like when they want to do something, be passionate about it and just have fun. you know, you can work hard and have fun. Like, that is what I do. I do work very, very hard, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's part of the journey, you know. Like, luckily, doing this documentary that we're filming at the moment meant that I've looked back and I look at some of the videos of times in there, like, and I was having fun. And when I look back, and I almost get emotional looking back, thinking like, that was so much fun. And I want to look back in another 10 years and think about what we're doing now. And I think it's so important that whatever you're doing, you've got to enjoy it while you're doing it. And there's years when I didn't appreciate it. It's only now that I can look back and be like, yeah, they were mint years, such good times.
Always used to ask this question, and I'm going to ask it again right now. But what does success mean to you?
I think success for me is a multiple of things. Obviously, from the business side of things, a truly global brand. I think from a personal and family thing, it's success means security for my family, financial security for my family. Also, me having the time to be able to support and help my two boys on what their entrepreneurial journey might look like. So hopefully be in a position where I can give them the time and support to guide them and teach them everything that I've learned along the way, so that they can be, you know, the best versions of themselves. I think that to me is what a rounded success looks like. Again, happy and healthy.
I've got an idea for your campaign next. Throw it back and get some pictures and stuff like that with a F1 car. That'd be sick. Just a bit of your life from there, from past life to what you're doing now.
I know there's bits that we've thrown in that when I've been looking back, but yeah.
No, I'll just say that because coming up to the 10 years, I want to congratulate you, because as you mentioned to me before, not a lot of brands even make it to 10 years. Not a lot of brands even pass it to 5 years, let alone the 10 years. So congratulations, hats off to you for that. And I really do hope that, you know, we could see you in 10, 20, 30 years time and see the brand become an icon, almost like the you know, the LVs, the Gucci's, whatever it may be. And I do think that, you know, you could easily very much get there. So
thank you very much, mate. I just want to say thank you for having me on, mate. Love the setup.
I appreciate you.
And appreciate your time.
Appreciate you. Where can people want to find you?
At Ross Worswick on Instagram, and the brand at the Couture Club.
Sweet. I'm going to leave all the links in the description there as well. Make sure you copy yourself some Couture Club. The link's in the description. Can they get a discount code or anything like that? By any chance?
I'll set a discount code up for you now.
Yeah, there's going to be a discount code on the screen right now. Use that when you're shopping. And other than that, I'll see you lot on the next episode of CEOCast. Peace.